I should either just say the real things or nothing at all. That was kind of how I
What
felt.
what keeps you from saying the real things? Like, what is that thing in you that like devalues joy and that like innocence in a way?
Hello, and welcome to the Fuck Suffering Podcast. I'm your hostess, Ray Hance. And in addition to this podcast hostessing, I'm the author of Oracle of Emergence and Evolutionary I Ching, which is the book that we use for readings on this podcast. And I am also the holder of Fuck Suffering practice groups, where we let suffering all the way in and learn to love it so that we may metabolize it so that it may come out as nourishment for others so the world can be a better place. My guest today, if you want to find out about those things, you can come to rayhance.com. That's REIHANCE.com, REIHANCE.com. I adore today's guest. She is a giant, wild, fabulous energy, and I felt very inspired by her today, as I always do. We talked about confidence and arrogance, ancestral healing, loss of joy, self-righteousness, when we lose our skin, the difference between surrender and collapse, energetic agility, and how to build a valve. What is our guest's question for the I Ching today? How do I connect with my true nature?
Hi.
Hi. I'm so happy to finally see you and get to talk to you. This is so good. Thank you for dropping by.
Me too.
Oh, good.
Thank you. I wonder if I should put on my headphones. You can hear me okay?
Yeah, no, I hear you fine.
Okay, perfect.
So did you come in with a question today?
I did, but it's an odd question.
Oh, I love an odd question. It's my favorite kind.
I know specificity is good, so I'm not even sure I have the question phrased correctly.
We can figure that out together.
Okay. My question has something to do with, I'm wondering, it's kind of embarrassing. I'm wondering about curses in my lineage. Meaning, I am wondering if there is some way that there's some old energy or almost like a type of energetic.
Like an entity?
Yeah, which are just energetics,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So an energetic of I don't know how to phrase it other than loss of joy or something about
as a punishment or as a turning down on the knob of your field for some other reason, or is it a punishment for something?
It was a punishment.
Okay.
It was a punishment, but almost it kind of reminds me of the group you're going to do, almost being self-inflicted now. Maybe at first it was just something in the field, but that's why I said it feels old. Mm-hmm. For some reason that can't be let go of, or and the energetic, honestly, is when I say less joy, it's just very serious. Mm-hmm. Very, yeah.
Something. And is that feeling that as, are you feeling that seriousness as are you experiencing that seriousness as a punishment, or is it just another tone that you have available to you?
Almost like a affliction of the lineage.
Mm-hmm. So you are feeling it as an affliction, as something that's creating. Okay. Mm-hmm. Does it ever feel beneficial?
I think when I was, how do I say it? When I was more self-righteous and in a different, like, off self or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I can understand that.
Yeah.
I think that's the perils of anybody on a spiritual path has to go through that phase.
Yeah, I think a old self definitely felt like, yeah, this is, what's wrong with these people? Why aren't they all?
Why can't they see how right I am?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even just serious. It's like a like a coat. Mm-hmm. Like donning this coat of seriousness. But the more I talk about it with you, I feel like it definitely covers something very gentle.
Like a swaddling?
And I'm curious about that energy in my life. I think it's interesting that I've done a lot of work, but I can see the times when that energy will kind of like a possession. So that's what was funny. I was like, I'm going to ask her a weird question about possessions. That's what was coming up, kind of like a.
So are you looking to find out like what is the nature of this energy?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. You have such an amazingly enormous field.
Yeah, I work on.
You feel so good to sit across from, even Zoom. I'm just like, woo! Good. I knew it would be, but it's so nice to actually like be across from you, even in this format. It's amazing.
I'm very much looking forward to this too.
3 coins today?
Oh, right here. 1 second. Should they all be pennies?
They can be whatever you want.
Okay, 1 second.
It helps if they match.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So see if you can feel into that tone in your field as you hold the coins in your hands, and really infuse the coins with that energy without judgment, without deciding what it is, without adding a lot of narrative to it, whether it's restrictive or swaddling or a curse or a blessing. Like, just like feel into that tone and let that tone permeate the coins. And like not so much thinking about your question as feeling your question in your hands. Just take your time tapping into that part of your field. Whenever you're ready, we're going to shake the coins gently in your hands, and we're going to throw all 3 coins 6 times. And each time you're going to tell me how many heads and how many tails. Whenever you're ready.
2 tails, 1 head. I feel like the question kind of morphed.
Okay.
But it's along the same lines. It is the same lines, but I think the deeper question is something about my natures. The word nature really struck me when you said it. Mm-hmm. So I think even me asking this is about like about the makeup of my nature. like something like, how do I tap into the truth of my nature? Something like that. I'm clumsy with words, so.
Yeah.
Or how do I just connect with the truth of my nature? I feel like there's still a level where there's some force.
So is it, how do I connect with my true nature?
Yes.
Okay. I think because of the way that question came up while you were holding the coins, instead of starting over, we should continue throwing the coins. I
think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, great. I'm glad to hear that. So just continue to hold them and like let that morphed question now permeate those coins. Okay. And then we're going to throw them 5 more times, and then you'll tell me how many heads and how many tails. So you got hexagram 54, which is transplanting, into 14, which is treasure. And the second hexagram is the one that enveloped the first one. It's the thing enveloping the whole situation. And that's treasure. So let me read you from 54 first.
Okay.
So this is like traditionally it's like a marriage hexagram, but it was like the hexagram of the second wife who it is brought in a lower position and has to find her way. So a new home, take it all in, pull all of the parts of you together. You'll need all of them aligned to adapt and thrive. Crossing the bridal threshold, the end of the old home and the beginning of the new. When you've been transplanted, you have an opportunity to show your energetic agility. Pull all of the parts of you together and be where you are. Take it all in, even your tattered roots. Notice everything you can of this new place. You've never been here before. Your new home, your new position, the new people around you. Everything is fresh and new. It might also be slightly terrifying. Were you being impulsive? Did you just want to be chosen? Is that what landed you here? Gradually, you take root in the new place. What is delightful here? Where's the joy? It's so funny with your question. What are the perils? Root into the underbelly of this place. Leaves open to the sky. Feed on light. Start there. You will always be fed if you feed on light. The joy of yin is above. This will be clearer when she fully roots. There's nowhere to go, nothing to do, only flourishing right where you are, where you have been placed by fate. The only thing in your control now is how well you adapt. Nothing else here is up to you. The traditional take on this hexagram is the bride who moves to her husband's house as a second wife. Submission is her only option. She didn't really know what she was getting into, but there's no turning back now. Let the past fall away. Surrender to flourish. The time for flowering will come again after the transplant shock wears off and you stabilize your roots. You may feel like you've lost something, but only because you haven't noticed what you've gained yet. Let the mycelium entangle your toes. Let the sun cast all shadows from your face. Welcome and be welcomed. So now you have 2 transforming lines that connect this and treasure. And they're at line 3 and the top line. So line 3 is things have gone from very shitty to less shitty. I mean, that could be worse, could be better, could be worse. Did you overshoot the mark? Have you mistaken arrogance for confidence? Have you forgotten how to tame yourself at will? Have you made others responsible for holding what you could not hold yourself, for loving the parts of you that you don't love? Are you asking others to clean up your messes? It's wonderful and humble to lean on others for support. It helps us find our feet again to be held that way. It's a different thing to collapse in a puddle in someone else's lap so they can no longer move. Sometimes this is mistaken for passion at the start of an affair, just dissolved into a juicy, juicy puddle, while the structure of your regular life falls apart. That's falling in love, right? Madly, right? How about rising in love instead? Try it. Balance feels good too. Don't underestimate it. Keep your skin intact. And line 6 is, you're going through the motions, making empty gestures. There's no real commitment here. Put down your props and move on. So that like Saturn-y restrictive energy that you're talking about.
Can you read line 6 again? Sorry.
Yeah. You're going through the motions, making empty gestures. There's no real commitment here. Put down your props and move on. So in some ways, like both of the transforming lines are talking about like, where is that performance? Where is that pushing? Where's that pretending? You know, like where is that still in your field? Like, where have you mistaken arrogance for confidence? Have you forgotten how to tame yourself at will? Like, do you have the agility within your own wildness and vastness to be able to tame yourself with love without thinking of it as restriction, which is really interesting considering this energy that you're coming in talking about. Like, is it swaddling or is it a straitjacket? You know, like, which is it? Because that's really like, in how you're receiving it is how that's going to feel. You know what I mean?
I feel like I want to throw up.
So where, like, who are you leaning on? Where are you leaning? And where is that lap inviting collapse? Where's that juicy puddle happening? And like, is there structure emerging from that you're resisting? Because there's also truth in the juicy puddle.
Oh, there's something there, but I'm really good at fogging. So that's how I kind of know something's there. I'm like, oh, all this fog just came in.
So when do you lose your skin?
I think I lose my skin when I have too many like feelers out in the world, so to speak. So even how you're like, wow, your field, it's big. It's like, there's a way I always have a lot of something happening, feelers out. Cause that's kind of like, I was thinking, yesterday, someone was like, what brings you eros? And I was really thinking like, oh, I literally get it from other humans. Like most people like can't stand other humans. Like even when I can't stand them, I love
totally understand that.
No, so there is a way I'm always like in the human realm, just like, oh, these feelers. But I think sometimes I think I don't. What they were saying, do I have the agility? I don't know. I'm learning, but I think there's times where I'm not, even how it started, gathering myself enough. Oh, it just came in. This is so funny. This is so funny. So I talked to Scout today and they asked me if I knew you, but I've never said your name out loud. So when they said your name out loud, I was like, I don't know that person. And then, and then they started spelling your name and I was like, what do you mean? I'm talking to her later. Like, yeah, I love her. I was like, so weird. But, part of what I realized today, even when talking to Scout, is I was raised very differently. I don't have a lot of the like angst and the like bereftness a lot of the culture feels. Not to say I don't have lows, but I feel like there is always a way I can sense something else. And I don't try to claim that it's because of anything I'm doing, even. It's just always been the way I've been. And I think...
Wait, hang on. Is it because that's your true nature?
Yeah.
Is that the answer to your question coming up?
Wow. Yeah. And I think growing up, I was invalidated a lot in that place. I was called like Pollyanna and then it was almost like a weird double bind because I was okay being in my own thing, seeing things and like knowing things. And yeah, I think there's a way I hide a lot of the I think just how connected I feel. Even how this card was saying, because I wrote some stuff down, feed on life, flourish where I am. I think there's a way I don't do that because if too much of the culture gets in, I get I don't even know what the word is, honestly. But I get
overfed, like too much.
Yeah, it must be. I don't think I've never conversed about it like this, so I don't have the words. But yeah, there's a way that it is an overfeeding, and I don't think the culture has like nourishing food necessarily all the time.
No.
So it's almost like I like eat up all this like collective nourishment or something.
But you also seem to have a pretty giant capacity to metabolize that. Are you able to tend to yourself within that metabolization?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think I do that enough. Yeah, I don't think I do that enough. Just being like, it's almost, it's funny what my mouth wants to say. It's almost like, I need to really value and appreciate, pretty much like what this reading saying, my little bubble, like how it said, welcome and be welcomed. I'm at that place in my life where you're not like doing the trauma work anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, well, what are you gonna do now?
Right. So who is this person that's emerging from the post game of that healing?
Yeah. And I feel like there's ways that I guess that's why I asked about the lineage or the curse, because I'm sorry, there's a garbage truck that's like what am I trying to say? I feel very connected to like, I'm one of these people right now kind of holding the middle ground in the zeitgeist. I'm not on either side of anything. I'm just kind of watching everything. And I have my thoughts, but I don't even, I'm like, oh, I'm just watching. And I feel like, as I watch, I almost feel like the options available to me in this post-trauma place, I don't, neither are resonant. So meaning there's the part that says let go of the past. So I'm just going to talk with, it might be a ramble, but I'm feeling. So in the past, I was very connected to my Black identity. Even in my trauma work, I expanded what that meant, what SC meant. So, and I used to share that a large part of me, my trauma journey was becoming more human, meaning actually losing parts of that Black identity. And and what does that mean? It just means like, I kind of, it's funny. I grew up in a kind of like Black supremacy. I grew up that's why I said I don't have the bereftness. I grew up being highly valued and being told that I was valuable, despite what the culture was telling me. So I feel like I didn't have to go through a lot of what people are going through as they are trying to define themselves for themselves. I had a very strong and kind of metaphysical like upbringing. And then, like I said, I expanded. And I realized, honestly, it sounds dumb, but that's why I call it becoming human. It was this way where it was like, oh shit, white people are human too. They have feelings. Because because I'm just at this level of ideas. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Totally.
Coming down from the level of ideas, it was more to the level of, I guess I call connection, where it was like, oh, this is not the way I thought, actually. Like, it feels
like deeper intimacy with everything.
Right. Even though it was like, yeah, this is complicated being here. I could see the complications, but a part of me was also like, this is where the juice is for me. To me, I thought it was juicy. So it's funny. I'm going to confess, even the prop part where you said, put down your props and move on. I kind of thought of the group I was launching like this. And I don't think that's a true thought, but I do. Part of me was like, maybe it's the group. Maybe this group is a performance, Essie. But I think it's not necessarily the group, but I do think, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I do think,
I think this is great.
I do think there is a way that, I do have to question what I'm doing with the group and with some of the things that I think I want to offer, I guess. So it's just funny, the parts of the reading that kind of hit me, like that part kind of hit me because I immediately thought of my group. And then there's a part of me that's like, shh, no, put that back there. There's a part of me, I mean, I'm kind of reckless in confronting myself. There's a part that's like, oh, maybe there's something here to confront. Is there some performance in your work? And I think the performance in my work is that I don't share two things that seem almost diametrically composed. Like, I don't share how much I like love and care for all humans in a certain way. Meaning, I just don't share that. I'll be more prone to share my disdain and my haughty, what I see missing and da 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 da. But it's kind of like, oh, I need to learn how to cultivate language for what I see that I, the part that is working in humans, the feeding on life, because that is the part I'm trying to bring forward in my group. But when I'm too into the culture, it's too easy for me to latch on the disdain and Holly part.
That's a safe spot. It's a handy hiding place.
But it's a kind of performance because deep down, that's actually not my deepest truth about the thing. That's just an easy way to kind of like spar with people or something.
Yeah, oh, totally. So I think there's an important differentiation, especially for like a big energy person, like between performance and what is like usefully theatrical. When theatricality actually can be skillful means, and how different that is from performing. Because if you have the gift of big energy, your energy is going to come out big, and your mastery over it. There's nothing wrong with theatricality. There's nothing wrong with the big gesture, but there's a difference in feeling in your body what is an empty gesture and what is a sincerely enormous gesture.
I think that line of put down your props and move on. I'm going to start talking in code. I think you're smart enough to follow me, maybe.
Okay.
So there's a teacher I have that I used to have. And I sometimes put up stuff about white supremacy. And she likes to ask me what I like about that energetic, right? That's like calling that out. And it would be easy for me to be like, oh, white lady, you're just triggered that I'm putting up stuff calling this out. And I do think there's a level where that's true. But she asked me a question where she said, what about this energetic do you like? And when she asked me that, even though part of me was like, what, you're triggered. That's like, whatever. Like I said, I am reckless at self-confront. So I was like, let me stop with this. What do I like about energetic? And after some inquiry, I realized that I liked the element of being able to say gotcha to like the culture or something. Something about like, and then the more I sat with it, I was like, oh, is that like my ultimate aim, just to say gotcha? And it's like, no, it's not, because I'm saying I'm a bridge. So gotcha. The gotcha game is not a bridge.
Gotcha burns the bridge. It burns the bridge.
Right.
And you're like, I'm over here, you're over there, and this bridge is closed.
Right. And so to put down your props and move on, it's Black History Month. And so even yesterday, being trickstery, I was like, I'm going to put up these scathing Black History Month memes from the field and see how people respond. And I could feel parts of my timeline that were like, sometimes I do it just to remind people like, hey, I am Black, right. Just because I'm highly spiritual and highly all these other things. And I guess that's why I'm asking about the true nature. It's like,
that's an interesting thing where it came up, this thing of like, where do you lose your skin? It seems like
I feel like there's sometimes this pressure for me to lose my skin. And then I do wonder if like that is, and then I do wonder sometimes like, oh, is me holding on to certain things and trying to be like, hey, I'm Black and like these things happen over here. Is it me not being true? You get what I'm saying?
I do. And I think that's coming back to energetic agility again, of like being able to move between formlessness and form.
Oh,
It's kind of like the Heart Sutra. It's like form is boundlessness and boundlessness is form. And they're both true. And our human lives are like in the middle. Like to me, that's what the middle way really is. It's like you are able to walk in both boundlessness and form with ease. Like experience your own vastness and your specificity at the same time. And that's like such a lit field.
So is that the treasure? Is treasure telling me how to do that?
Or well, it's telling you that you already have it. The treasure is yours. Distribute it wisely. The treasury of the true Dharma eye opens and reflects in your own. Look at this. You are specific, but not separate. You are the treasure. The story goes that at the dawn of the Buddha's enlightenment, he saw Venus, the morning star in the sky. He stared at it with gentle awe. Venus stared back at the Buddha and said something like, I've been waiting for you to notice me, lover. You and all beings are simultaneously free. Could you let them know, please? Could you let them know they have everything they need? And Buddha was like, sure, I will bang that drum in various iterations for the next eon until some assholes come along and reduce magic to mindfulness to serve their economic productivity agenda. And Venus was like, promise? And Buddha was like, yeah. And Venus was like, I'll be watching. And all the other stars and planets and comets and asteroids and mycelium and empty space were like, so will we. You have everything you need. This is a hexagram of unfettered sovereignty and success. You are a treasure. You have treasure. The question then follows, are you at ease with having treasure? Or are you tossing it away like a ragged hot potato because you don't deserve nice things? The treasury is continuously open to you. Use your wealth to nourish goodness in yourself and others. Allow yourself to metabolize and spread the wealth you've been given like so much rich compost. Distribute your energy and your talents widely. Your glittering virtue is the crown jewel. You are enriched and enriching. There's a sense of good fortune written in the stars here. Juicy karmic fruits are being eaten at last. Honor, virtue, success, wealth. Nature has ordained it. Let it be. Like the Empress in the tarot deck, you can easily metabolize abundance. I mean, there are no good or bad hexagrams, but it's kind of hard to beat this one. Here's prosperity, not just in the material sense, but in the spiritual sense. The treasury is open. It was there all along, but you've gotten out of your own way now. You can see it, feel it, be enveloped. Align your essence with the treasure being presented to you now. Live with a richness. Have it all. Share it all. This hexagram has a funny way of appearing when you're broke. A reminder to investigate your relationship to scarcity. Why are you sitting on your treasure chest acting all sad? Stand up and open it. Stick your hand deep in the cache of gold doubloons. Can you feel it now? How will you get them home? Probably be easier if you distributed them along the way. Do you have outdated, inherited ideas about money that you have to address? Do you believe that money and people who have it are bad? If you have a lot, do you let it isolate you? Now would be a pretty urgent time to address that. Now is the time to clear all those old ideas about money and power and open yourself to receive unfettered. Trust yourself to metabolize wealth responsibly. Tap into your Buddha nature. How? Be still and notice what you're made of. Notice the sensations that pass through your body. Notice the thoughts that persist in silence. What are they telling you about who you are? What are they saying you can't possibly be? Let those monkeys scamper off into the forest. Give them some bananas for the road. You have plenty. You have everything you need and then some. The treasure is not yours to hoard. It's yours to steward. Guide the flow of this wealth into the world and behold the gleaming growth it provides. Take it all in and don't for a moment allow yourself the indulgence of smugness. That's that rightness thing. Keep distributing virtue. Toss those doubloons. Share beauty with benevolence. You are fitted for goodness, or you would not have such treasure laid out before you. Deliver it from evil. Don't be deluded by ideas of ownership. Do no harm. There is nothing to defend. Don't staunch the flow. Stay clear and enjoy the ride. That's one of my favorites.
You gave the best face at the end.
So that's what's enveloping this transplanting, so that there is like this, where is sincerity missing? Where is there a lot of power and no heart? You know, where, you know what I mean?
A little more.
Like that line about put down your props, there's no real commitment here. Put down your props and move on. Like the empty gestures of like, what isn't filled with sincerity? What is performance rather than full theatrical expression?
It's what I was talking about, how even yesterday I shared memes and I could feel it. Like I was like,
these are props.
Yeah. And they elicited a reaction. You know, I got a couple oh my God. Like, I can't believe you put that up. But it wasn't even, something. Yeah. There was something that what you just said didn't feel. It felt kind of like I should either just say the real things or nothing at all. That was kind of how I felt.
What keeps you from saying the real things? Like, what is that thing in you that like devalues joy and that like innocence in a way? Because it's interesting that that's coming up for me again with this, like, what's the difference between restriction and swaddling? Like one has innocence in it and the other one has resistance in it.
You know, funny what's coming in my mind. I'm practicing with you just saying things without so much editing. So what's coming up is that there's so much performance in the culture. And then I grew up as a performer, you know, so from very young, like that was like supposed to be my thing. And there's so much performance in the culture. So it's funny. Everyone's like rest, enjoy. But like I actually do those things, but they don't make me popular. You know what I mean? I've been resting before there was a rest movement. I've been slowing down since before COVID, but it doesn't give you much social capital to really do the thing, because then
maybe not in this moment, but what's emerging.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And your question is about how do you connect with your true nature, not how do you build social capital?
But those are the empty gestures, I think. I am an LA girl with LA ideas. So I think sometimes the LA ideas in my head say, hey, if you were really valued, it would look like this, or like, I think there's ways the idea is trumping the reality, I guess. Yeah. The empty gestures are definitely the like it's funny, it's the like grasping for the, you know, the like something.
Can you feel that in your body though? Can you feel that grip Like that clench, the clench.
I do.
Is there any relationship between that clench and this energy that you're talking about?
Oh,
Like, is there a thrill and struggle for you?
Oh. So I also recently discovered that I don't know if you would phrase it this way, but you could tell me after you hear what I have to say. I also so it talked about money. I grew up very middle class, very went to good schools, lots of opportunities, blah blah. But there was a lot of trauma in my home that wasn't recognized because of the money, because everything looked really nice, And so after sitting on the inquiry about money a little bit, I realized my thing with money is that I feel like if we didn't have money, someone would have helped me. Like it's almost this like, oh, middle class kids don't get help. Even if like I went through very traumatic things in my home that I feel like if we didn't have money, something would have happened. And I feel like it didn't happen because we did have money. And so I think there's this way, I don't enjoy struggle, but I did uncover that I have this weird belief or something that like, I don't even know how to phrase it other than like, oh, to be working class is noble. I don't know. It's like, it's distorted though. Like I know it's a distortion, but it almost, it's my distortion because it's gross. Like it's like this way I'm being like, oh, working class life is simpler. So then there's like less of this even want or even like imagination for things. So I can even feel how sometimes I try to like dumb down my imagination because I know that it's because I grew up pretty stable. And the more stable you are, the more imagination you can have. And I think sometimes I feel bad for the way I can imagine so much so easily. And I know a lot of people can't. And like, no one cares that they can't. Instead, they're playing the victim. And it's like, no, they like literally just can't imagine it, And
but if you can't imagine it, you don't miss it. Is my guess.
No, because it's advertised all day everywhere around you that there's more.
Oh, you mean like in the material sense? Not just like imagination in the imaginal.
No, because the imagination's almost so stunted. Like part of what my true nature knows is like the true things, you actually can't buy them.
Right.
If anything, my being around money and people with money has shown me it's like, oh, the you can't buy peace, but there's a way where having more material stuff does. Like I said, I only know that I get to like ponder and do certain things because I've always been stable. I've never been homeless or had threat of homelessness or like, you know what I mean?
So how much of your imagination is on material gain?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think that's the props. Those are the empty gestures. I think that's the stuff that I know isn't true, but it's almost like, when the lottery's at a certain amount here, I'm like, oh, I just want to play and win. And then I like give it all away. And it's so not my fate to win the lottery. Like they literally told me that in a reading. They're like, stop asking. Stop asking. We're like, not going to give it to you. I'm like, why? And I think there is a way. So with the no heart too, I think the flip of my life being so easy is that I guess what I'm saying is like, I haven't had to like work for stuff necessarily. And now that I'm getting older and claiming my desires more, I do have to like be responsible for them and work for them. And I actually collapse a lot. I know. I love when everyone's like, you're so unfuckwittable. I'm like, if you guys all knew, I'm like having meltdowns like every other day.
Oh, that's interesting with that line about collapse, about just collapsing into a puddle and like
I do that a lot. And when I tell people that, they're always surprised. And I'm like, why? I don't get what you guys like are, I don't know. But I know the collapse comes from that, how you said, was it swaddling or like?
Yeah. Are you like, is part of that energetic that you're talking about, is that like an inevitable response to collapsing? Is it something you're almost calling in to gather you up again?
Wow, yes, but it's not helpful. And actually, talking about this out loud, I realized the collapse I'm feeling is the collapse that I didn't get to have younger. It's like this way I'm like, honestly,
it can be a way of nourishing yourself.
I think I don't frame it that way. I think it makes me feel ashamed and like, yeah, that's true. Because you even said something about what's in the juicy, juicy puddle.
Yeah.
And I think when I am the juicy, juicy puddle, that feels wrong.
So what do you think keeps you from self-compassion there?
I think I'm scared of like, I was very geared on functioning.
We all are. We're trained to be good.
So it's like, how am I going to function in the juicy, juicy puddle?
I think it's how you function once the juicy, juicy puddle recongeals. By allowing the juicy, juicy puddle to like run its full cycle and recongeal, then you start to function with ease. Like then ease, because if ease is what brings you out of that, ease is what carries you away from that. Does that make sense?
And then even with the rest of the reading that talked about, I don't know, but I definitely got the hit about, I spill a lot because I'm big. Since I'm a big energy, I spill a lot. So I think too, it's a struggle of like almost like, oh, I'm big and it spills, but then needing, like you said, needing to know when to be able to be like, okay, let's turn the faucet off, or like, let's streamline.
Yeah, build that valve.
So yeah, I feel like I don't really have a valve.
Okay, well, because part of how do you connect with your true nature is going to be with a skillfully built valve. Do you know what I mean? Like, how do I connect with my true? Well, you are already connected to it, but there's still the agility piece will come more easily with a valve.
And it's so funny because you're talking about a valve and it's so foreign to me. I literally hear my brain saying, what does that even mean?
Well, like if it's otherwise it's leaking, right?
Yeah.
If you're leaking all over the place, like then so much gets squandered while you're looking away. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Can you come back into your body and allow that to be amplified, but also skillfully directed? So funny, whatever this is doing to me. I my system's like metabolizing, like it's just like, like, cause I think I grew up in so much control. That I'm reckless. My life is like, people are like, oh, you're so bold. But as I get older, it was like, well, I was just a reckless person. Oh, totally. I totally relate to that. exactly. And like that, like even the thought of like taming felt so anathema to everything that I felt was my nature. And then like when I found Zen, they were like, yeah, you're wild. That's great. Meticulous and wild will be more useful. And I was like, oh. I was like, okay. Oh.
You didn't feel like you were giving something up?
Oh, I did. I felt like I had to absolutely surrender. I had to absolutely surrender to those forms, which were so young and so strict. And then as I surrendered to those forms, like I realized I was part of one body, like that one body of the Sangha of Zen, and then that one body of the subtle Sangha that envelops the whole ecology that I'm emerging from. So it became no longer me submitting to these rigid actions, but me emerging from them out of the long line of deep time and the huge span of space.
Can I ask what that looked like? Like when you say submitting to, did you like, so for instance, I grew up having to play the piano. Did it look like practicing every day for an hour?
Yeah. It looks like chanting together and bowing at the bell and like doing all these things. Like when I first went there, I was like, oh my God, why do people need to bang your head against a bell to realize equanimity? Like that seems completely unnecessary. And then I went there for like a month at a time to like leak all over the place. And then the teacher's like, wow, you're really leaking all over the place. Do you even know? I was like, I do. And I don't care. Like, that's who I am, leaking all over the place. Woo, Willy Waterbug, enjoy. Like,
oh, wow. Okay.
And then she looked me in the eye and she's like, I have confidence. And I looked at her and I was like, in what? And then over like another year, I realized that her capacity to have the mastery over her enormous field and to feel like a talc mountain where she was both soft and wide and stable and enormous, and you could feel all of time and space in her, that she had the capacity to bring it to that kind of stillness, to that kind of centeredness, to that kind of width and depth and height. And I was like, oh, confidence emerges. Confidence is an emergent property. There's no performance whatsoever in it.
I very much felt what you just said. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like I have like the depth and the height and not the width or something. Like my scale's off. Right, some layer. I don't even quite know which part, but yeah. I do have a sadhana, and it's so funny. I did realize one day, like, oh, all the things I wish I could be if I just sat down and did them, I would be the person doing the things I wish I could be doing.
Well, there's the vow.
Oh.
There's the vow. Yeah.
Yeah, but for some reason I don't do those things. I just think about them. You know what I mean?
Because it's more fun to go, to leak on social media and like leak that energy and get that hit of like friction and be like, oh, that's delicious. That's fun. Because I mean, the trickster is holy.
It's so funny. I don't even do it as much. I think that's the problem. That I think part of the empty props of social media even is maybe even as simple as scrolling when I could be like chanting or learning how to write a song. Just like a better use of my time. Because when I go on there's like a few people I check for, you being one of them. And then if I stay too long, that's what I mean. I start like collecting things that actually aren't even mine. I don't even care. But then I like start thinking I'm caring. Like even with my friend, I was like, no offense, I don't even care about Black History Month. I'm like literally just putting up these memes to like squander energy. Like I could actually be doing something else that would be more useful and more connective than being like, let me put up the most shocking memes I can.
And less performative and more sincere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, I feel sick. Oh, because it's so, and like you said, it's so easy to do.
Oh, it's so easy to do. So easy.
Which makes it actually cheap. And I think that's why I feel sick. It's like, I have this way where it's so funny. I know this is wrapping up, but this actually just came full circle. I told my honey once, I was like, oh, you like the path of least resistance, but it's not always the whatever. But I fucking like the path of least resistance. I like the cheap shots, you know? And the thing is, if I took a second longer and a pause or like a second to settle, I realized I actually don't like the cheap shots. I'm quite bougie and I'd like something that tastes good, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And like, look at that. How do you connect with your true nature?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I need to be more almost. I love what you said about like, it's so funny because there's this way I'm like, I'm embodied, I'm somatic, whatever. But it's like still this way that even I am like, how you're like, you need, even the story about your teacher where it's like, I don't know what the word is, but it's like, it needs to be more, I guess, intentional. And I think I shy away from living such an intentional life because it feels a little, in my mind, it feels constricting. But I think that's just an idea my mind has.
I think this metaphor of the valve is useful because like, I think you coming in with this idea that constriction is a curse.
Yeah.
You know, like framing it. Like, am I cursed? Because sometimes I feel constricted. Like,
right.
Like,
right.
That maybe like that is you being summoned to build a valve.
Summoned to build a valve.
And then maybe that's no less an ancestral call, but maybe tuning your ears to a different frequency to perceive it in a way that like is beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I won't never forget, like meticulous, wild is great. Meticulous and wild is more useful. It's like, huh. But like that really, I didn't leak after that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh, I could feel when I'm leaking.
I don't know if I always know.
Yeah, like, I think until like, you know, the valve goes for its like beta testing. Like it's hard. It is kind of hard to know until you're really like, okay, I want to try this. I want to not squander this so that I can not only connect with my true nature, but completely commit to doing the things that I'm here to do. You know?
Yeah. Wow. This was
fun.
I'm like, whoa. I'm a little stunned. I'm like, okay, I gotta digest everything that happened. Because it helped tie up a lot of awarenesses that I've been sitting with, and to feel like just even how the valve and the I love the feed on life and flourish where I've been placed by the fates.
Yeah, the I Ching is kind of amazing. That's why, like, I just want to introduce more people to it because it's so powerful and so subtle, and it works. It will meet you where you're at, wherever you're at. And I
like your instruction help too. The question, like, even that's why it took a while for me to book because it was really like. Kind of like, well, what am I? What do I really want to know? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I'm just so delighted to be in your presence finally.
Me too. I feel the same. You have me a little stunned, so I'm at a loss for words. But
that's okay.
rare for me as a Gemini. Trust me, most people are like, she shut up. So that's how I know something happened because I just feel very like sober It was sobering.
Good. Oh,
what
good.
you shared. Yeah.
Good. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
It was like sobering, and I feel like perfect for the Lunar New Year. Energies, and I'm happy the I Ching was gentle with me. I think I was expecting more of like I think I'm just used to being scolded or something.
No, instead you were like being like, here's your treasure. Why are you sitting on your treasure chest with looking all sad? You don't got to do that. Like, stick your hands in the gold doubloons and throw them around. You know? That's
what I mean. It's almost like I can feel I'm in a new timeline, but they're the residues of the old timeline. Sometimes they're so.
Oh yeah, but like they don't have to go for the new thing to keep emerging. You know, the new thing emerges from within where you're at right now.
Oh, yeah.
That's like where the self-compassion piece comes in. Just be gentle with yourself. Like, it's not, you don't have to scour something else out or excavate some other layer before who you are can emerge. Like, it's emerging.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'll see you around the interwebs.
Yeah, see you in the Matrix.
Thank you so much for joining us for the Fuck Suffering podcast today. I'm Ray Hance, and you can find out about being a guest on the podcast, doing a one-on-one with me, or joining one of my Fuck Suffering practice groups at rayhance.com, REIHANCE.com. If you're interested in the book that I use for readings on this podcast, it's called Oracle of Emergence, an Evolutionary I Ching, and it's available on Amazon. And if you would like to help us expand our reach, which would be lovely, rate and review wherever you get your podcasts. Yeah, we really can't fuck suffering until we trust suffering. And in a wild existential kink, we are all in that together.